Hey everyone, I'm here in my studio today and I need to dry some flowers, so I thought you guys might want to come along for the ride. So I was traveling a little bit earlier this week and found these Queen Anne's lace, and we don't get these in Florida, so I was super excited to find some of these and had to bring some of them back. And they've been sitting in just in a vase here in my office, and thought today would be a great day to go ahead and dry these for using them in resin. I like to dry flowers. I know some of you have had not the best experience putting flowers in resin, and partly because flowers tend to want to spoil if you want to put them in resin without drying them or sealing them first. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to do these today. There's a few different ways you can do them. This one I'm doing today is just probably the simplest way. It's not necessarily the fastest way, but it's the simplest way. So I'm just going to walk you through what I'm doing. So first, I've got a piece of cardboard setting here just on my crafting table, and I'm eventually going to move this. You'll see what I make first. But I've got this piece of cardboard, and then I'm working with parchment paper. And so I'm tearing off a piece of parchment paper that I'm going to go ahead and cut to fit the square, because what we need is a piece to go above and below the flowers. So let me go ahead and get this cut it in half. All right, so it fits my square pretty nicely. Let me get this, I'll go ahead and get this down first. I'm going to set this piece aside. Now I'm going to take some of my flowers, and because I want them to lie flat, I'm going to go ahead and cut each one of these little stems off individually versus like cutting here, because it may not, this is kind of like a, I don't know what part of the plant this is, but this is kind of a big piece and it's not going to want to lie flat. So I'm just going to go ahead and use my scissors to cut the little stems off of it. And in case you're wondering, these were picked several days ago. They're probably not quite as pretty as the day I first picked them, but I didn't want to dry them right away. We don't get Queen Anne's lace in Florida, so I was kind of excited to find some to bring back. So I wanted to enjoy them myself for a few days. So, all right. So at this point, I'm just going to put them on my piece of paper. No real rhyme or reason. I want to leave just enough space in between them that they don't dry on top of each other, but I'm just spreading them out. And at this point now, what I will do is put my other piece of parchment paper on top. Make sure I get a nice fit here. And now, the next thing I need to do is I need to make like another little cover for this. It's essentially like, this is going to be the sandwich. We need to put it inside a bun, so to speak. So I need to tear off another piece of paper. And I'm going to fold it. Okay, so another way to think of this too is this is like the book cover and this is the book. So now at this point, what I want to do is gently pick this up and slide it inside the book cover. All right, so we've got like our nice sandwich here like this. Now the reason this is important is because it's going to take about 2 weeks for these flowers to dry. So what I need to do is about every couple of days or so over the next couple weeks is I'm going to check on these flowers, and I will need to change the book cover. You will be surprised how damp this outer cover is going to feel, especially the first couple times you change it. So now at this point I've got my flowers in here, and now you want to get a big heavy book, something really really thick and heavy, like this dictionary. And I'm going to set it on there, and that's it. And it's going to sit like this for 2 weeks. Obviously I'll be checking on it. It's not going to sit exactly in this spot because this is where I do my resin crafting, but this is how, you know, I have it set up so you guys can watch. So I will move it at this point, put it on a hard surface like a table or a countertop or something, change it the next couple days, and then let's check in a couple weeks and see what they look like. So if you weren't with me a couple of weeks ago, I had brought home some Queen Anne's lace from a trip that I've been on because we don't get it here in Florida. So I wanted to bring it back with me, and I showed you how I like to dry them in parchment paper. So I am going to take them out of the parchment paper today and look at them. If you're interested in my exact techniques and what I did, you can go back and watch that video. I did save it. Anyway, this has been 13 days since I first put them in here. I put them in, I clipped them, put them in parchment paper, and I have been changing my outer sandwich, I guess, of parchment paper for the, you know, every couple days for the last 2 weeks. So let's take a look and see how they're doing. So they've been under a big heavy book, i.e. a dictionary, right? Here's a really good use for a dictionary, trying to go old school. So they've been under here, and they've been sitting on a piece of cardboard that matches, you know, appropriately the size of the picture. So let me put this aside. So I'm going to slide these out of their little outer sandwich, I guess. So these two inner pieces I did not change. I just changed the outer sandwich. And that's just because the flowers, as they lose their moisture, the paper can get damp. And so you want to make sure your flowers don't mold or anything like that. So let's peel them back and see what it looks like. All right. So I've got some nice flat little Queen Anne's lace pieces. They're very delicate at this point. They feel dry. I mean, it's hard for me to... they feel dry. They're nice and pressed. I don't have any reason to think that they're not dry. You know, they're not moldy. They mostly kept their white color, which is really great. So at this point, what I will do now is spray them with a couple light coats of our resin gloss sealer spray. Let me see if I got a can of that handy. Hold tight. You can get this in our store if you are a resident of the continental United States. Unfortunately, if you're outside the continental U.S., unfortunately, we can't ship it to you. It's an aerosol product, so it's we have limited options on what we can do. But anyway, what I will do is I will spray a couple light coats of this onto these. Be careful when you do it. There's enough pressure because of the aerosol that when you spray, it'll kind of push them. So you may want to have like another piece of paper or something here to kind of help catch them in case that happens. I like to do it in short bursts. I don't like to really coat them heavy. It makes them gooey that way. And so I will, of course, do it outside. It's an aerosol. You don't want to do it inside, but to go outside, couple light burst, and then I'll let them dry a good 20 or 30 minutes, and then I will flip each one over and do it again, and then I will flip them back and do them again, and then flip them one more time and do them again. So basically there's 2 coats on each side, and that's because I just want to make sure I have a good seal on them. Also, you know, if you're, you know, sometimes I'll do this in the, you know, the pressure of the aerosol will flip them anyway, so like you don't even remember which side, or you can't even tell which side you sprayed. And the nice thing about it too is once I do that, it makes them more sturdy, and so I don't feel like I'm gonna break them or crush them or crumble them by using them. So I'll spray them and then just set them aside. You can even, if you want, you could spray them and then store them in like a plastic container with the paper in it in layers, so that way you can just kind of take off a layer and then use some tweezers or something to put it in your resin castings. But I've got some ideas for these. I'm really looking forward to using them, and I hope you guys enjoyed yourselves today. All right, let's do this again soon.